On this death-defying episode of MythBusters, it's all guns blazing as Adam and Jamie take another aim at what is bulletproof.
Oh, check out my new bulletproof vest, man!
From pocket protection to homemade remedies and even the human body itself.
That's what is in your gut.
Meanwhile, Carrie takes a swing at a Kill Bill myth. She and the boys get beaten black and blue as they find out if you can first punch through
He's alive!
and then climb out of a coffin that's buried 6 feet under. Who are the MythBusters?
Oh, that's pretty.
Adam Savage
I love results!
and Jamie Heineman.
Bye-bye.
Between them, more than 30 years of special effects experience.
Arise, my son.
Joining them, Tori Belleci,
Is this as disturbing as I think it is?
Grant Imahara,
Have you lost your damn mind?
and Carrie Byron.
That was a rush!
They don't just tell the myths, they put them to the test. First up, it's Bulletproof in the firing line.
Well, you're looking pretty bulletproof there. I'm feeling pretty well protected from bullets, and that begs the question.
What's bulletproof?
Exactly. Ever since we aired our first What is Bulletproof episode, the fans have inundated us with all sorts of crazy suggestions for bizarre things that might be bulletproof. And that means that it's time for the MythBusters. What is bulletproof?
Part 2.
Exactly.
It was way back in season 3. A fresh-faced Adam and Jamie separated firearms folklore
Dead center.
from ballistics baloney. Ever since, fans have been crying out for more. So now it's time to make your day.
What's on the list?
Well, first up for Bulletproof, we've got a host of objects that you might be holding or wearing. Things like police badges, MP3 players, and even pizza.
Sounds pretty straightforward. There's not a whole lot of setup.
No, it's just get out to the shooting range, shoot at stuff, and find out what's bulletproof.
Yep, it's as simple as that. So they head straight to the firing range with their ballistics gel dummy.
Tell me what you know. Tell me.
Who's going to take one for the team?
This may look like a clear, jelly-like man, but in fact, he's a ballistics testing platform for our day's experiments, which include many things which you wouldn't expect to be either protective or bulletproof that might in fact be. Things like MP3 players, law enforcement badges, and even pizza boxes. This guy's gonna test them all for us.
And first up, Adam's wishing on a shooting star.
So the story goes that a police officer was shot by a perp at close range with a .40 caliber pistol, but the police officer was saved by his badge, which stopped the bullet.
It's a stellar story, all right. An officer saved by his badge when shot at close range. But did it really happen?
Let's get in place and do it.
Well, to find out, Adam steps up with an identical handgun.
Gun is loaded.
And he's aiming at a standard issue silver police badge.
This is called a star. Now, we had this specially made by the same company that makes them for the police. This one is made out of sterling silver.
Could it really stop a slug?
Range is hot. Clear to fire.
3, 2, 1.
It's a direct hit. So what's the verdict?
That doesn't look like it stopped it.
Shot the top of the star off.
She's no bulletproof.
No.
The bullet clipped the star, but passed right through the dummy.
I can see the path of the bullet right there, heading all the way up through the gel and exiting there.
And that would make any dude one dead duck.
Silver itself is obviously not the hardest of metals, so it's not terribly surprising, but in this case, it didn't seem to do anything at all. So what's up next?
Well, silver's out. Next up, we've got a badge which is called a shield, and it's got a copper back with a bronze star.
Okay.
It's a different badge, but will it be a different result?
Gun is loaded.
Adam lines it up in his sights. But just like test 1, he hasn't hit it dead center again.
That was low and to the left.
And that's stirring up some shooting rivalry.
What's that you were saying about being a better shot than I am?
A rivalry that goes way back to What is Bulletproof Part 1.
Did I even hit it?
Over the top.
Oh, I think it's your turn, sir. I can't seem to hit that damn thing.
Okay.
But this time, Adam ain't giving up without a fight.
I'm gonna hit the dot this time, I swear.
And for bronze on copper take 2, it's a much better shot.
Oh, looks like I slid off the star.
Yep, he's hit the center star. And this time, the results are surprising.
Look at that. Unlike every other bullet we've fired that's gone all the way through, this one is stopped in the middle.
So that extra piece slowed it down.
It slowed down significantly. There might actually be something to this.
Although the bullet was definitely slowed down, it was still a lethal shot. So it's on to the third and final badge.
Nickel badge with a bronze star.
It's tougher than the others, but is it bulletproof?
Okay.
If I have to hazard a guess, I don't think that this, even with these 2 pieces of metal, is gonna stop this bullet.
Well, there's only one way to find out.
How did I do?
Amazingly, the badge actually catches the cap.
Whoa!
Dude! And just as amazing, for the first time that I can remember, Adam's speechless.
Holy cramoly.
The bullet struck the star dead on, and the shield stopped it flat. The wearer can thank his lucky stars because he'd be safe.
If I was a policeman and this happened to me, you know what? I'd still wear the badge. It'd be like, I've already had the worst day possible. You can't make it any worse.
So while bronze and nickel fail to deliver, gold goes to the nickel. A bulletproof result that slates this story as plausible. Next up, we've got a real cracker.
Is it Casual Friday?
What's going on here?
Oh, wait a minute. Yellow tracksuit, sword. We're doing Kill Bill myths.
The fans can't get enough of our martial arts myths. And in fact, since the Ninja special, we've been inundated with requests to do the coffin punch scene from Kill Bill.
That's the scene where she's buried alive and she punches her way through the casket, climbs through 6 feet of dirt with her bare hands.
Right. No sword, right?
There's no sword.
Okay, put the sword down.
Yeah, don't hurt yourself.
It's a chilling scene that nightmares are made of, as our yellow-suited heroine literally gets buried alive. Trapped 6 feet under, escape seems impossible. Unless, of course, you are a trained martial arts assassin. So, undeterred by being interred, our heroine uses a series of 3-inch power punches, cracks the casket, worms through the soil, and lives to take her revenge. But is such a death-defying deed really doable?
All right, you guys, how do you want to test this one?
Well, I think the biggest issue is going to be the fact that she didn't have a lot of room to punch. She only had about 3 inches. So we have to see how much force you can generate from just a 3-inch punch.
Then I think we should get a real coffin and see how much force it takes to break through that.
All right, well, assuming we can punch through the lid, then we need to find out if you can dig through 6 feet of dirt with your bare hands.
Well, before we even get to that, how are we going to test force? Last time we tested the force of a punch, we almost broke Tori's hand.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I got a brand new technique. I guarantee you no one is going to get hurt.
Last time they tested punching power, Grant's invention busted more fists than myths. So this time, he's gone high-tech.
I've got a TechScan flexible sensor, plugs into a USB evolution handle, and that goes into my computer. And the computer will be able to record the exact amount of force applied to the sensor.
Once the sensor records the punch, the computer then converts the blow to pounds, giving a total amount of force applied. So, armed with Grant's weapon of choice,
You ready for the fury?
it's time to test what power of a punch the guys can pack. Our very own Italian stallion shapes up first with a full-arm jab.
Go. Nice.
Ooh, look at that.
Okay, stand by.
And Grant's reader records the result.
Okay, so it looks like your peak there was 1,430 pounds.
Ooh.
But of course, in the movie, the heroine only had 3 inches of punch power to bust through the box. So Grant resets and Tori refocuses, this time from 3 inches.
Did it register?
It did register. 781 pounds peak.
What? Are you serious?
With Tori down for the count, the others see if they can do any better. But punching prowess is notably absent. Boom Boom Belechi, 785 pounds. Knuckles Byron, 362. And Iron Man Imahara, 612.
You know, that's not a lot of power. But you know what? We're not trained martial artists. And in the movie, she was. So why don't we find a real martial artist, see if he does any better than we did. Let's go.
All right.
With our trio unable to punch their way out of a paper bag, they head off to meet a real punching pro, mixed martial arts maestro John Fitch.
How often do you get to meet an actual professional MMA fighter? But we get a chance to actually work with him and measure how much strength he has in his punch. I mean, this is like a dream come true.
But does Fitch the Fist have what it takes to tackle this coffin punching myth? Well, here's one way to find out.
In this corner, weighing in at 170 pounds, John Fitch. In this corner, weighing in at 175 pounds, from the mean streets of Monterey, California, Tori Boom Boom Belechi. Let's get it on!
Tori's mom, in fact, any members of the Belechi family may want to avert their eyes. Yep, in less than 1 minute, Boom Boom's doomed.
That's it. Good night.
Meaning Fitchy's the fighter they're after. So now it's time to crunch the numbers.
We brought our whole measurement system, and we're going to measure his punch force. I'll take his actual fighting glove and calibrate that with our punching bag and see exactly how hard he can punch. Ready, set, go!
With a round arm right, John Fitch fetches a healthy result.
Okay, so your peak punch force was 7,144 pounds.
Holy crap.
Not too bad.
Not too bad. Well, it is 5 times harder than Boom Boom's best blow. But the real test has to be at 3 inches while lying down.
So this is our makeshift casket. You're gonna lay down on your back and punch up at the sensor.
The fist assumes the position. Cramped as though in a casket, it's this punch that's key to this myth. So what's the verdict?
So check this out. Your force on your back at coffin height, 1,482 pounds.
So a trained fighter can 3-inch punch with 1,500 pounds of force. So now the boys need to bury themselves in this myth. Out on the range, the MythBusters have discovered that a standard issue police badge can block a bullet. So what's next?
Next, we got another relatively hard object that you might find in the average shirt pocket, the MP3 player, supposedly stopped around from an AK-47.
Looks like a little bit bigger of a target. You think you can hit it?
Yeah. I think I can hit it, old man. Let's go.
So this story goes that an AK-47 slug was stopped by a soldier's MP3 player. But Adam, for one, ain't convinced.
What's in there? Well, I'll tell you. This back metal plate's actually pretty thin, about a 32nd of an inch, stamped metal. This front part is polycarbonate. In there is a spinning hard drive and a single board of electronics and not much else. Not a lot of bullet-stopping potential. That's my expert opinion.
With the MP3 player ready to rock and roll, that just leaves the gun. A 100% genuine AK-47.
I kind of have a penchant for firing it. Do you mind?
No.
So while Jamie tackles the tunes, Adam feels okay with the AK.
Here we go.
AK-47 into an MP3 player.
Okay, it's a smash hit, but there's a problem.
Well, that's one way to get the battery out.
Our sharpshooter wasn't so sharp. From just 10 feet away, he barely hit it. For a reliable result, they're going to have to reload.
Yeah, I think we need to take another shot.
Yeah, I think I do.
Or maybe I get to take another shot.
No. I get to make this work.
So Adam, determined to get at least one round on the charts, sets up for a repeat run. This time, the MP3's down. But did the bullet go through?
Oh. Oh, wait. I can see you. All the way through that.
Yep, just like this MP3 player, this myth is full of holes.
Like any good myth, this one has a grain of truth in it. And our researchers did in fact turn up evidence that a soldier was hit by an AK-47 round. It went through his MP3 player and he survived. But here's the catch. He was also wearing body armor. Now, body armor, MP3 player, what do you think stopped the round? My money has it on body armor.
And after all that sharpshooting, time to tackle an even tastier tale.
Supposedly, pizza delivery boy finds himself being fired upon by a shotgun, holds his bag of pizzas in front of him, and it saves his life.
Okay, well, let's lock and load.
How's this for pizza pizzazz? The story goes that a delivery boy peppered by shotgun pellets was saved by 3 pizzas. Well, not just his pizzas. Don't forget about the warmer pack.
We've got your standard pizza delivery insulating bag here with some heavy synthetic fabric, webbing, some stuffing for insulation inside, satiny kind of synthetic. 3 cardboard boxes full of 3 pizzas. That's 6 layers of cardboard. It's a lot of stuff to get through, but something tells me, little bird just tells me that it's not going to give that shotgun blast much resistance.
But that all depends on the shotgun rounds you choose. Something that's mysteriously missing from the myth.
My guess is that he would have been shot with bird shot, and that's what's in here. It's a really fine shot, little tiny BBs, and these aren't going to have a whole lot of penetrating power, so I wouldn't be surprised if pizza will stop them sooner or later.
And of course, pumping pellets into pizza is not exactly normal practice.
Here's what I want you to think about when you're shooting that pizza, right? I want in your brain to think that you're angry at that pizza, and I'll tell you why. Because there's pepperoni on there, and you're a vegan. I know you're not a vegan. You're gonna have to get into a vegan mindset. You're violently vegan.
So, revved up by Adam's pepperoni talk,
Bird shot into 3 pizzas. 3, 2, 1.
Jamie bangs off the bird shot from 10 feet.
Dude, not a lot made it through that pizza box.
In fact, only about a half dozen BBs made it all the way through.
I see, this is number 1, this is number 2. Both of them, stuff is going through. Number 3, it's more like a wad of pizza meat.
With lead in it.
I don't think we could call it definitively lethal. Dangerous, yes, but I don't think we can call that a lethal hit. Seems like this actually did something useful against birdshot.
I would say so.
Another reason to love pepperoni pizza!
And that's probably what the pizza guy felt too. But what about if a badass shot buckshot, not birdshot?
These are effectively like plain old bullets, and they'll penetrate quite well. Buckshot in 3, 2, 1.
So, how did the buckshot stack up?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They almost all of them, if not all of them, made it through.
Yeah.
1.
With the buckshot penetrating with ease, the MythBusters can't help but take this one to the extreme.
Both Jamie and I are now compelled to answer the following burning question, which is, how many pizzas does it take to attain something that is totally resistant to buckshot? And that's what we're about to answer.
Call it random, but they pit 15 pizzas in 5 warmer packs against a 9-pellet buckshot blast. And Jamie's getting a real taste for it.
1.
They unleash pure buckshot power. But did it make it through?
Box number 1.
And what do you know? The buckshot cleared the crusts clean through to box number 5.
It didn't make it through the back. Wait, we gotta open this up. Pizza number 14. Oh, it stopped. 14 pizzas.
So it kind of worked. The buckshot stopped at pizza number 14. But would it sell as a bulletproof vest?
Oh, check out my new bulletproof vest, man! Oh, you cannot mess with me!
And animated Carrie, Tori, and Grant are putting Kill Bill to the test. They're trying to find out if you can cuff your way out of a coffin. And with punch data gathered from martial arts expert John Fitch, next, the team needs a casket. And that's where Carrie comes in.
I'm gonna make it as realistic as possible, so I'm gonna use all the same materials, I'm gonna make it all the same size, and then we can see for ourselves if we can punch through a real casket.
It's 3/4-inch pine made to funeral and movie specifications and comes with a see-through side for testing purposes. Then there's the gravesite. That's Tori's contribution.
So I've come up with a design to test this safely. What I'm gonna do is build a box that will hold the 6 feet of dirt. And then what I'm gonna do is raise that up off the ground 4 feet with steel legs. And then what I'm gonna do is put the casket underneath that box. Once I have the casket in, we have the dirt in place, then we can start testing whether or not it's possible to break through the casket and dig through 6 feet of dirt.
More on that later, because right now it's on to the punch itself. With John Fitch unavailable, that's down to Grant. And no prizes for guessing his design.
That's right. I'm gonna build a robot. Using the robot, we'll match it to John Fitch's punching strength, and then try and punch through the coffin lid.
And thanks to the wonder of editing, it's a case of no sooner said than done. Voila! A robotic punching machine that can give the coffin a fearful cuffin.
I call it the Robofist. Here's how it works. First, air comes into the regulator, gets regulated to whatever pressure I want, gets stored in an air tank. The air tank goes to a high flow valve that lets air go really fast. That gets split into 2 tubes that go down to the bottom of the piston. Now, when those fire, these 2 valves allow air to come out very quickly and goes whoo, very fast. 3, 2, 1. I think it's working.
And that means Robofist is ready for a test.
And I'm just gonna dial up the pressure until the robot can punch as hard as John Fitch.
Remember, even with a tiny 3-inch punch, John Fitch managed a whopping 1,400-pound wallop. Grant's going to have to match that exactly. Grant gets things rolling just short of 200 PSI.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
And what do you know?
Yo beauty! So, at 185 PSI, the robot is punching at 1,430 pounds, which is exactly in the range that John Fitch can punch. And it's punching at the right speed. So now, it's time to bring in a casket and see how the robot does against that.
Next up in the Bullet Bonanza, body parts.
What's up next?
Well, people come in all shapes and sizes, and the fans' next question to us is there a shape or size that could render someone bulletproof? I.e., could someone provide enough fatty tissue or muscle tissue to where a bullet wouldn't get to their vital organs?
I don't know why, but that's kind of twisted.
Which means you like it.
Yeah.
All right, back to the range.
People come in all sorts of shapes and sizes, but can you ever be so big, be it muscly or obese, that you can be bulletproof? Well, back at the range, knowing Jamie's fondness for lard, the boys are starting with fat.
That is what is in your gut.
Actually, Adam, it's what's in a cow's gut. Pure bovine blubber.
Oh, yeah.
To be at the correct consistency, the fat needs to be at human body temperature of 98 degrees. So, first up, it gets a nice warm bath.
That is wrong.
Wrong is right. But will this gruesome gloop stop a bullet? Well, for Adam, the answer's fat chance.
Yeah, I know what you're saying to yourself. I mean, after the, oh, gross part, you're saying this is stupid. Why would fat stop a bullet? Well, it's part of the tissue that make up your body, and bullets aren't made to go through your body. They're made to expend as much of their energy in your body as possible. That's how they do their work, which unfortunately is killing. Thus, fat ought to do a pretty good job at stopping a bullet after a while.
But how much fat might they need to stop a bullet? The record for the greatest gut ever was awarded to Walter Hudson, who had a ginormous girth of nearly 10 feet. That equates to a layer of 16 inches of fat right round his belly. So that's the number to beat.
You ready to pack some fat?
I don't like the sound of that.
With no time to chew the fat, the boys load the 16 inches of lard into the dummy's tummy to replicate Walter's waistline.
Hey, you're gonna need all the fat for this recipe, so don't lick the mixing spoon.
The acrylic tube of fat represents belly. The tube of ballistics gel represents vital organs.
For fat to be an effective bullet stopper, it's going to have to be stopped before it makes it through all of this fat and into the ballistics gel in the torso here. Is it going to actually do that? My guess is it might actually make it through.
To ensure they hit the fat Frankfurter head on, they set up a remote firing mechanism, laser aimed for accuracy. And they're starting slow by using a .45 handgun that fires at just 900 feet a second.
Which means, if this makes it all the way through our fat and vital organs, every other kind of round we could fire would as well.
In other words, if the world record amount of fat can't foil the slowest slug, it's Mayday for the myth.
Eyes and ears, clear to fire.
Firing in 3, 2, 1.
Well, nice clean center hit. Ah, we made it all the way through.
So not only did the fat not stop it, the internal organs didn't either. It went right out his back and kept them going.
So there you have it. The idea that an obese human is carrying a homegrown bulletproof vest is blown away.
So the question, will fat stop a bullet? Sure, eventually, but not in anything human.
So Adam and Jamie move on to a more meaty medium.
Our stunt double for muscle today is going to be what's called knuckle meat, or top round, and it comes from the rump of a cow.
And how much rump is on the table?
We found a guy with pectorals that were 3 inches thick and biceps that were 11 inches thick. And then we posited, what if you were shooting at him? And what if he then took that massive bicep, put it in front of that massive pectoral, and became superhumanly bulletproof?
It's true that bodybuilders with all that rippling muscle sure look tough. But are they tough enough to stop a bullet?
Firing into muscle with a .45 caliber in 3, 2, 1.
The bullet made a neat entry hole. But did the muscle man make it?
Dude, check it out when I move it.
Yeah, I can see it clear as day.
That's an exit hole.
And that it is.
Yep, sure enough, it too is busted.
So muscle didn't even do it.
Muscle nor fat. No part of your body's gonna make you bulletproof or superhuman. You're gonna have to give that plan up.
So I can't stand there and go, I'll deflect the bullet.
No. Let's go home.
Back at M7, Cary, Grant, and Tori have built a robot to punch with the power of martial arts expert John Fitch. Now it's time to test the Kill Bill myth. Can you really punch your way out of a pine box? Well, first, Cary finds out that in confined space, nobody can hear you scream.
How you doing in there? Can you breathe?
Real funny joke.
The team lays the Robofist to rest,
This is how they do it in Hollywood, Gary. Ah, that's gotta hurt.
nails down the lid, and they're ready for a dirt-free preliminary test.
Now, sharp-eyed viewers may note that there's no dirt on top of our casket. But right now, we're just trying to isolate the casket and see whether, in theory, it's possible to punch your way through.
Meanwhile, Cary's worked out the correct punch-to-air ratio if you get buried alive.
After about 45 minutes, you're gonna lose air inside your casket and you're gonna pass out. Now, John Fitch says that he can punch about 20 times per minute. So we figure the parameters for our myth should be set at about half an hour or 600 punches. If you can't get out after 600 punches, well, you might not be getting out.
Okay, you guys ready?
Yeah, let's
Ready.
break him out.
So Robofist comes out swinging.
Yeah!
Oh! Wow!
And almost immediately, cracks start to appear.
He's alive!
Yep, the lid is split.
Punch through!
But progress is, should we say, not exactly progressing.
That crack looks like it's wider.
Kinda.
300 punches on, and Tori, for one, is losing focus.
Tails.
But after 30 minutes, the coffin puncher would be on his last legs, so to speak, with very little air left. So Carrie rings the bell on the final round.
600 punches, and it still didn't punch its way out.
Yep, the casket cracked all right. But even without dirt on top, Robofist couldn't break through.
The robot worked great. However, we were not able to punch through the casket. And that is 600 punches at full strength the whole time. I mean, a person probably would get tired if they were in there. They would be running out of oxygen. The robot didn't have any of those limitations, and it still wasn't able to break through the casket top.
But all is not lost, because for test 2, the guys are going to get down and dirty. They're going to bury the casket 6 feet under, and that might just give them the cracking they're after. Their coffin is 8 feet long, 3 feet wide, and will be buried 6 feet deep. That means it's covered with over 12,000 pounds of dirt. This extra pressure may do nothing at all, but it could create such a serious strain on the lid that it's actually easier to break through. So bring on Tori's masterpiece, a mobile graveyard with a box on top to house 6 feet of dirt. And the casket fits snug underneath.
Tori's rig right there, with a coffin 6 feet under, with a pallet of 4 by 8 dirt. Will give you between 12 and 16,000 pounds approximately, all resting on a lid made of 3/4 inch pine.
And your prediction, Carrie?
I think you might be able to punch your way out. I just think you're gonna die once it happens.
And on that cheery thought, Grant gets things cracking.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Look at it, it's already starting to crack the lid. Every time he pushes up, dirt falls in through the crack.
Remember, in Kill Bill, not only did the bride bust out of the buried casket, but she then had to dig out of a 6-foot deep grave. Just like last time, Robofist immediately starts lifting the lid. But will it be able to punch a hole clean through?
That's 150 punches.
And he still hasn't broken through. I mean, you wouldn't be able to punch that many times. You would have run out of oxygen way before this.
And your wrist would be broken, your knuckles would be bloody.
But also, just like last time, the initial splits do not turn into escapable cracks, even after 600 punches.
Well, the coffin lid cracked a little bit, but it didn't cave in.
I know, this is not looking good for this myth. It's looking busted.
It's not looking good for the myth or the MythBusters, since all this graveyard testing has brought about an unexpected result.
Living dead. Looks like somebody forgot to kill.
The MythBusters have come out all guns blazing. They've been testing what is bulletproof. And that's got Jamie thinking.
You know, I was thinking.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. I was thinking that we've got so much stuff laying around this shop that we could roust something up that is not terribly exotic that we could make bulletproof armor out of.
Homegrown bulletproof. I love that. You've already got some ideas, I'll bet.
Oh, yeah.
All right, I reckon I could come up with something. Let's do it.
So with their myths checked off, Jamie's issued a challenge. Can the MythBusters build a slug stopper out of everyday materials? Well, first up is Adam, and he reaches straight for, custard?
This is just cornstarch and water, and it's known in science circles as a non-Newtonian fluid. And I'm thinking its property of acting sometimes like a solid and sometimes like a liquid,
as illustrated to perfection in the Ninja Special. When Adam's son jumped on the cornstarch, it immediately hardened, so it supported his weight. When he stood still, he sank like a stone. But will it be strong enough and act fast enough to stop a bullet? Meanwhile, in the other corner, Jamie's foregone custard and focused on soda. Well, the can at least.
What I'm noticing as I crush this can is that it's getting progressively more resistant to me crushing it.
So by crushing it to the max, will it roadblock around?
I don't really think it's going to stop a bullet by itself, but what if I have a whole bunch of them?
So while Jamie compacts cans, Adam's ready to test his corn flour mix.
Homegrown, bulletproof, 1 layer in 3, 2, 1.
Can the custard cut the mustard?
Oh, I definitely went through the aluminum. 1 layer. It's clearly not enough.
Having beaten his aluminum cans into submission, Jamie adds a dash of homebrew glue to the mix, known domestically as FGR 95 cement.
Okay, that's 1 down. That's FGR 95 and propylene fiber with aluminum cubes.
Adam amps up his testing. It's now a 2 custard cluster to fire at.
In 3, 2, 1. 2 layers still doesn't look like enough.
Meanwhile, Jamie's ready to point the Glock at the soda can block.
Firing in 3, 2, 1.
Does that look like...
That's the...
Did you catch it?
I caught the bullet right on the face of it. There it is.
So Jamie's first prototypes left him feeling pumped, while Adam's feeling pressure. In desperation, he maxes his mix up to 6 layers of custard.
6 layers. Going for broke. 3, 2, 1. Nothing. Looks like the same size bullet hole.
So cornstarch as a bulletproof material? Dud, dud, dud.
3.
Meanwhile, Jamie's testing has now shown that cement with fiber in cans is okay at stopping a 9mm.
It collapsed the aluminum, but it did not make it through.
But he wants more, and a sudden restroom renovation revelation delivers the solution.
Even though I'm kind of attached to my recycled aluminum cans, I'm going to try these tiles. They're hard. I think they might break up a bullet, and they come ready to go in these nifty little sheets, just like armor plates.
They test it out and...
3, 2.
What do you know? The bullet bounces straight off.
Jamie, it didn't make it through the felt.
I wondered.
Yeah.
So that worked.
It did.
Rather predictably, it's Jamie who wins this challenge. But how will his bunch of blocks fare when they get put to the ultimate test?
Let's get out to the shooting range.
3, 2, 1.
Tori, Grant, and Carrie have found that trying to clout your way out of a casket, Kill Bill style, ain't all it's cracked up to be. But as a potential final nail in this myth's coffin, there's one last part to test.
Now, we busted the part of the myth where you could punch through a casket. But now what we're gonna do is we're gonna test the part of the myth that if you did bust through the casket, could you dig through 6 feet of dirt? So what I need to do is I need to reconfigure this rig here so that we can get inside of it and safely try to dig our way out.
Now, if the movie heroine was superhuman or the coffin lid riddled with woodworm, maybe she could have punched through. And if so, could she then have escaped? To find out, Tori replaces the casket lid with a sliding hatch to hold back the dirt above.
All right, so this is the trap door. It's gonna open like that, and then we'll start digging our way out.
He's also built an acrylic casket with a specially designed escape hatch that's all ready for a trial run.
So the new casket's in place, and what I'm gonna do right now is just test the trap door and see if it's working. Oh, it works. And I'm out safely.
Well, sort of safely.
Better than dying.
Meanwhile, Grant's got the dirt on dirt.
So dirt weighs between 65 and 88 pounds per cubic foot. And we know from our buried in sand experiment that those types of pressures on your chest cavity can get very dangerous very quick. Now, traditionally, caskets are buried 6 feet under dirt. But for safety, we're gonna start out with just 2 feet.
But even only 2 feet under, Carrie, for one, is sure Tori's digging his own grave.
I have a feeling the coffin's gonna fill up and pin him before he's able to dig his way out.
So, pepped up by Carrie's confidence, Tori puts on an anti-crush suit.
Yeah, this ought to stop the dirt from compressing my lungs.
And, most important, a fire brigade breathing apparatus.
Go. Is this how Houdini died?
One panicked look later, and it's go time.
Be careful in there.
Tori carefully slides his way into the coffin as he prepares to literally put his life on the line.
You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, I'm gonna open the door slowly.
All of a sudden, this seems like a horrible idea.
Tori's burial ritual begins. Carrie releases the trap door, exactly as if he'd been able to punch a hole in that coffin lid. The trickle of dirt begins to fall in on him.
Bro, this is freaky.
Okay, keep going. Yeah, keep going.
Carrie opens it wider, and it rapidly becomes an avalanche. And it's panic stations below.
Whoa, whoa, stop, stop.
I'm all right, I'm all right. No, I'm okay, I'm okay. I'm all right.
The 2 feet of dirt has caved in on him, but there's a bonus. It's opened up a rabbit hole above.
Got daylight. Woo!
But still trapped, he pushes the dirt to the bottom of the coffin, wriggles, and then scrapes his way upright. And with a massive effort, actually triumphs in tunneling his way out.
I'm alive! As soon as the door was open to about a foot wide, all of a sudden a ton of dirt came falling in on my chest, and I couldn't move my arms anymore, I couldn't move my body, and I started panicking. I almost had Grant hit the quick release and let me out, but I calmed down, finally got the dirt pushed down enough so I could maneuver enough to get out of the 2 feet of dirt.
Tori's proved that at 2 feet under, assuming you could open the coffin lid, escape is just conceivable. But the myth calls for a normal burial.
Now, our next setup is going to be under the full 6 feet of dirt.
Yep, you heard right, folks. Grant is going to be buried a full 6 feet under. But so he doesn't die, his plan is to sit up, not lie down in the coffin. Okay, let's pause for Carrie's prediction.
I think about 4 feet. It's all gonna collapse down and completely go pear-shaped.
Yep, as with any MythBusters experiment, going pear-shaped is a real possibility.
Okay, Carrie, go ahead.
Carrie at last dishes the dirt on Grant.
Keep going.
Thousands of pounds of soil slithers south.
Stop!
And almost immediately, Grant's buried to the neck, unable to move, at least until the rig breaks under the pressure. It's easy to see that if Grant had been lying down, he'd be dead.
Well, I guess that worked well.
Yeah, I think that pretty much sums it up.
The air tunnel that Tori used never opened up for Grant, and that meant escape was totally impossible.
I'm convinced you'd be buried alive. That 6 feet of dirt came all down into the casket, filled it up. There's no way you're gonna survive this.
So let's go inside and put the epitaph on this myth.
All right, you guys, where do we stand with coffin punch?
We definitely have to bust this one. I mean, there's no way we were even able to punch through the lid of the casket, and that's with the full strength of the martial artist, both in the shop and when the casket was buried.
Okay, and say you could punch a hole in the casket, and you could punch that hole big enough that you could crawl out of. There's no way you're crawling through 6 feet of dirt. Look how much trouble you had with 2 feet.
And I had a mask on and a respirator.
Yeah, if you didn't have that, you wouldn't be able to see or breathe.
Yeah, so this one is definitely busted.
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 I just hope I never get buried alive.
Oh, that's what I was gonna get you for Christmas.
In an effort to build a novel bulletproof vest, Jamie's come up with a homegrown remedy of bathroom tiles and plaster. And now it's time for its baptism of gunfire.
Let's get out to the shooting range.
This is my improvised armor. Now, it's made of a high-strength gypsum cement called FGR 95, which is filled with polypropylene fiber. Now, we've also inserted 2 layers of common bathroom tiles a little bit back from the front.
With its gel vital organs as backstop, the mannequin will take the hit if the tile proves permeable.
Well, here at the MythBusters Armory, Jamie said he wanted to test the Jamie tile. We wanted to give it a good solid test, so we chose wide bandwidth of your basic armaments and ammunition. So let me give you a tour of today's arsenal. Starting off with the handgun 9mm, moving on to the handgun 45 caliber, then to the shotgun, both with buckshot and the deer slug, finally finishing off with a high-speed rifle round, the 223. That ought to give this thing a run for its money.
Lights going hot.
And suited, locked and loaded for the first big test, let's pause for a prediction from Jamie.
As far as pistols go, the 9mm has a reputation for penetrating quite well. I'm going to go out on a limb here, though, and say I think my Jamie tile's going to stop it.
But will confidence be confirmed by the conclusion?
Firing in 3, 2, 1. It stopped it.
It totally stopped it. There you go.
That's a 9mm.
I'd say it's Jamie tile 1, bullet 0.
It's a good start for Jamie's tile. But next, it's staring down the barrel of a 45 handgun.
Oh, that looks like a nice stop. Beauty.
Hardly a dent in the back.
Jamie tile 2, bullets, zilch.
Next up in the ramp-up, it's buckshot.
After watching what it did against the handgun rounds, I don't think buckshot's gonna make it through the Jamie tile. Wow. Look at that.
Well, I tell you what, buckshot is one of the scariest things you can go up against, and the Jamie tile stopped it, and stopped it cold.
But now things get really serious as buckshot takes a backseat, replaced by the deer slug.
And this is almost an ounce of lead. It's a huge amount of force coming out of that gun. I don't know whether we'll be able to stop it or not.
Hot, ear protection on. I see dead people.
And the fears are founded.
Wow, look at that hole.
You'd be hurting.
You'd be dead.
The deer slug went straight through the tile and took out the vital organs too.
Oh, it looks like the champion's been taken down by an upstart named Deer Slug.
And after the slow-moving but deadly deer shot,
Now we're going to move on to the 223. This is the opposite end of the scale. It's a really small bullet, but it's moving really, really fast.
but can it take out a Jamie tile?
Range is hot. Eye and ears.
And it's the last man standing.
What do you think? You think it went through?
I think it went through.
You do? Oh, look at that.
There's the bullet. That would be a kill.
Wow, look at that. You certainly slowed that bullet down for it to end up in the gel, but he's dead.
And there's no arguing with that.
Well, it seems that the halcyon days where we all wished that Jamie tile was bulletproof are all going to go, for the 223 has pierced it completely. However, it is still Jamie tile 3, bullets and ammunition 2.
Well, our armor's full of holes, the dummy's full of holes. I think we're done here.
I think our work is done. Let's go.
I think I need to try Portland cement next.